the spot and I came with the fellas.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy J2ATV and I'm back with another banger. Today, don't want to waste too much time on the intro, just cut to the chase. I'm going to be looking at one of my favorite all-time scenes or episodes from Naruto Shippuden, which is when Sasuke goes savage mode and infiltrates the Kage Summit and pretty much embarrasses all of the Kage. With that being said, guys, most of you that watch my videos are not subscribed. I would very much appreciate if you smash the subscribe button for your boy, drop a like, as it really does help with the YouTube algorithm. We just hit 1K, as I said. Thank you guys so much for that. Our next goal is 5K. I think we can do it with you guys' support. So again, if you could just drop a quick sub for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I love you. So yeah, there's a lot of things that actually go on during the Kage Summit, right? Sasuke arrives, he's kind of picking off the samurai one by one, wraps lightning around his blade and is just slicing them up like bro's in there slicing and dicing like some filet mignon steak. And he was actually even nice enough to tell them to get out the way, but he really only had care for trying to take down Danzo. He didn't even really care about the Kage or anything. He was just trying to get to Danzo so he could enact stage 1 of avenging Itachi. So after the death of Itachi, Sasuke learns about the truth of his clan's massacre and the role that the Hidden Leaf Village played in that. So consumed by hatred, Sasuke kind of joined the Akatsuki and sets his sights on revenge against the Hidden Leaf. So meanwhile, the Kage were gathering to discuss the threat posed by the Akatsuki and the growing instability in the shinobi world. Unbeknownst to them, Sasuke was already on his way, determined to confront Danzo, who had been just recently appointed as the 6th Hokage. Of course, Danzo wanted to have all of the Uchiha essentially segregated and exterminated because they were deemed as too dangerous in his eyes to exist. There was some dirty business going on behind the scenes with the Hidden Leaf. It's not all peachy and creamy like they make it seem in the original series. And it's actually kind of hilarious and sad that Sasuke's whole original quest and goal in life was to get revenge against Itachi for murdering his whole family, and then that shifts to then loving Itachi and appreciating what he did for himself and for his people, and then shifting that to Danzo and wanting to extract revenge on the Hidden Leaf. So bro's mind and heartstrings was kind of all over the place, bouncing around. You can liken him to Vegeta and Zuko in that way, kind of jumping between good and bad. What do I do? What do I not do? Who's good? Who's bad in my eyes? What do I see as things that are ethical versus non-ethical? And kind of playing this middle ground where their allegiance is really to themselves and their own personal goals at a certain point before that kind of shifts later on in their character development. But so after Sasuke's kind of done picking off the samurai, we see that he's confronted and stopped by the Raikage. Now, there's a couple really important things to identify with this fight. Sasuke's infiltration of the Kage Summit was bold as hell. Going into the fight, we see that Sasuke doesn't really have the full extent and control over his Sharingan. Obviously, he has Amaterasu at this point, and he kind of has the very first stage of the Susanoo, but he's only really able to put the ribs around him and a couple of other little things. Like, he does also have, I think his left eye he's able to manipulate the black flames, and the right eye he has is the Susanoo. I could have got that mixed up, but it's one or the other. But yeah, he's kind of just in the very early stages, and we also see that he's overusing his eyes and becoming weakened. He refers to this a couple of times. Later on, we're going to get to it when he mentions that every cell in his body hurts and that he's in extreme levels of pain, and he's asking himself, oh, is this what Itachi had to endure? And so Itachi did have an illness, but we don't know that if that illness came from him overusing this Sharingan or if he already had a secret illness and then him overusing the Sharingan just contributed to him dying. So yeah, we see that Sasuke doesn't have full control of using the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke is confronted by the Raikage, and he also has his backup support. Sasuke also has his backup support in Suigetsu and Jugo. You kind of get a nice little one-on-one fight between Suigetsu and the other guy with the sword, and then you also get Jugo first taking on the Raikage at first. He's able to not really put damage on him, but it makes it seem like he's gonna put damage on him when he gives him a point-blank range attack, but then gets knocked out of the way, and we get down to the nitty-gritty of what we all came here to see, Sasuke versus Raikage. Now, something that I think is super important to identify is just how dark and powerful Sasuke's chakra was at that time. The Raikage does not come to mess around with Sasuke. He immediately goes into his elevated state of power. We'll call it Super Saiyan 1 versus Sasuke, as he sees him as a formidable opponent. He's talking a lot of shit about him, saying like, oh, I'll just kill him and get him out the way and all this, but you notice how he didn't come to mess around. He immediately was like, yeah, I'm gonna need my elevated level of power. Because Sasuke's speed, power, defense, mental, anger, everything is just at peak levels at this time. That boy was trying to get some revenge. So what we end up seeing is Sasuke taking on essentially the whole squad. You've seen those YouTube videos like 20v1, like the girls pop the balloon or whatever? Well, he was 20v1 in solo squad and these fools in this. So yeah, in the first interaction between Sasuke and the Raikage when they're fighting, Sasuke tries to use Chidori and is actually able to touch the Raikage, And the Raikage identifies that this is something interesting. He's like, damn, I had my electricity shield on essentially, but you were still able to touch me. He's also able to identify with some information and intel that they had on Sasuke that he in fact is part fire style and lightning user, and also that he is using the same jutsu that Kakashi used. I'd bring that up just to say that this was Sasuke fighting them, the Raikage, with even a slight disadvantage on top of already the numbers. They also had intel on him previously. That being said, but he gets Liger bombed into the ground. As they say, no one has ever survived a Liger bomb from the Raikage until Sasuke, but we see Sasuke is able to survive because of the use of his Susanoo. He puts the ribcage around his back and it prevents him from getting smashed into the ground. We then see that Sasuke starts to use some of his Inferno style flame manipulation and is actually able to knock the Raikage back. Raikage then starts trying to dance around and attack Sasuke, not recklessly, but he thinks that he's gonna be able to just put hands on him in any way he wants. But then Sasuke kind of uses the Inferno style to manipulate it so that it's poking out a bit, like towards his arm. And the Raikage is like, hey man, don't play with me, I'm like that. And he swings his arm and kind of gets the black flames, end up taking his arm, but Sasuke gets knocked back and injured severely. The Raikage is like, man, I gotta finish this here. So he goes in and tries to put in the final blow on Sasuke with like a crazy flying down leg kick. Bro's trying to drop curb stomp, like kick him down, right? But Sasuke's like, nah. So he uses the Inferno Flames to basically shoot up and try and cut off the Raikage's leg. But Gaara essentially comes to interfere, cover up Sasuke, shielding him from the attack. They both get separated. The Raikage's pissed, like, why didn't you let me finish him? Gaara's like, yo, you were about to literally just die if I didn't step in to essentially stop this, but also I'd like to talk to Sasuke. Gaara is seen basically trying to plead with Sasuke, basically telling him like, yo, me and you are the same, bro. You don't really have to be about that street life no more. You can just come home and stop this. But Sasuke's like, yo, I'm too far gone in the darkness. You gotta let me rock. So then Gaara starts crying and he's basically essentially trying to finish him off. But then we see Sasuke go absolute beast mode and he essentially unlocks the final transformation. Well, I guess not the final transformation, because the final would be like the giant statues that they get, kind of that are flying around later towards like the end of Shippuden. But I guess stage 2, we'll call it stage 2 of the Susanoo, where he gets expanded from just the cage and he gets like the giant figurine, like where it's the top half of the body essentially, no legs, no wings. He also gets his arrow that he kills Danzo with along with that, but he doesn't unlock that until the Danzo fight. But anyways, we see like this is a formidable transformation. Again, solo squatting all of some of the strongest leaders of these different nations. The Raikage goes into Super Saiyan 2 level of his lightning transformation, and we see that counting is a good read of chakra, and she says that his chakra, referring to the Raikage, is just absolutely insane right there, and he's reached tail beast levels of power. Now is where we get into the good part, and like honestly one of the most dopest scenes that I've ever seen in any anime ever. So Sasuke makes his final transformation. He essentially knocks down the pillars where they're at in the cave at the summit, and makes all the rocks fall on everyone and separates himself, counting from Jugo, Suigetsu, Raikage, and the rest of everybody else, right? Gaara, everyone's over there. So then Sasuke basically tells Karin to bring him to where Danzo's at, because she's a sensory type ninja and she was able to locate Danzo. Simultaneously, somewhere else, Kakashi, Naruto, and Toby, or Madara, whatever you want to refer to him at that point, they were having a conversation where basically Madara was giving them a kind of quick synopsis of his idea of what he wanted to do in terms of abusing Sasuke's power and using him as a pawn in his grand scheme for what would have been, you know, uniting the entire Shinobi world in Project Suka and Yomi. I probably pronounced that wrong, but you get the gist. So then this kind of is the start of where Sasuke's plot armor comes to save him. The plot armor is saving Sasuke countless amounts of times throughout the anime, right? Well, of course, he's one of the strongest and most genius Uchihas of all time, but the boy had some damn plot armor, I'll tell you that. Toby's kind of like, yo, I'll explain to you guys at a different time, but he basically teleports away and bounces away from Naruto, Kakashi, and the gang to go what we eventually find out is to help Sasuke, right? So boom, so then Sasuke shows up in the most badass way possible, basically zooms around the room real quick, chops down all the flags of the different nations, basically is a FU to all of them, and then it's found standing on the ceiling. And then Danzo gets up and dips. I don't know, Danzo was kind of sitting there, like looks up like, man, I knew his time would come, like he was about to do something, and then just bounces and dips on everybody and lets them deal with him. Eventually Sasuke ends up catching up to the boy, and we gonna make a video about that too, but Sasuke ends up catching up to him later down the line. But anyways, Danzo dips, Sasuke is there, and he basically ends up having to take on the Mizukage, who uses one of her lava style Gekke Genkai techniques to seal off the door so that they can't escape. He uses his Susanoo to protect him, but here's where the plot armor comes in, right? So he gets essentially knocked back into this separate room where it gets sealed off, and she uses one of her other Gekkai Genkai abilities to basically put like this toxic fog sludge stuff in the air, and it's so powerful that it's melting like the armor on his Susanoo, and he can barely breathe. He's also dealing with a lot of the repercussions of what come with overusing the Mangekyo Sharingan. He didn't have Eternal Sharingan at this time. He was just rocking with the base. So basically, the white Zetsu that had just been taken out when Sasuke and them had arrived at the summit, he basically had a time-lapse jutsu that wrapped around all of the Kage that were present in the same section where Sasuke was at, and it started expanding and sucking their chakra away. One of them came and wrapped himself around Sasuke and started giving him his strength back. So then, you know, he was struggling. His Susanoo was kind of fading, but he was able to get his strength back and knock the wall down. That's how he was able to essentially plot armor his way out of being trapped and melted by the Mizukage's Gekkai Genkai abilities. So then we see him stumble into the next room, and we see him come face to face with the Tsuchikage. So then the Tsuchikage is not wasting no time. Bro's like, yo, you're tough, but you're a little brat. I'm basically gonna just try and vaporize you off the face of the earth like a roach, right? And he puts his dismantling jutsu on him. And what we think at the time when we're watching it, and Karin starts crying and all this, is that he basically got dismantled down to a molecular level. However, plot armor comes to save our boy Sasuke once again, and that's when we see Obito appear to, one, save Sasuke, but also explain his project for the future, and again, the Project Suka and Yome, where he wanted to essentially enslave the entire earth and have them live this Matrix fantasy life so that there would be no conflict and no problem. For Sasuke, the Kage Summit was a statement, a declaration of war against the system that had betrayed his clan and his brother. And while the Kage may have been embarrassed, Sasuke's actions set the stage for the final chapters of his journey and also the closing chapters of Shippuden as a whole. Please make sure you drop a sub and a like on the video. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, guys, and we're trying to get to 5K as soon as possible. With that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Also, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree that this was one of the most bad scenes in all of anime, or at least if not for all of anime, Sasuke's character? Also, as always, guys, let me know if there's anything specific that you want me to touch on, any topic, TV show, animation. It does not only have to be anime. I'm really gonna try and stay committed and post a video once a week for you guys. Again, thank you guys so much. J2A TV out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Too many times I feel like I'm out of love. Is you really rocking with me, or is you a dub? I ain't playing with you, don't you treat me like a scrub. You could be my queen, is you with it or not?